Hi everyone, today our story is called Paul Bunyan and the Popcorn Blizzard. America is a mighty big land with some mighty big heroes, but Paul Bunyan was the biggest and strongest hero of all. Paul was born in Maine. When he was just a newborn baby, Paul was so big that it took 10 huge trees to construct his crib. It took a herd of cows to keep his milk bottle filled, and an entire wheat field to make the 40 bowls of porridge he ate for breakfast. As fast as some babies grow in 10 years, Paul grew in a single month. His mama had to be very creative when making clothes for her unusual son. She used wagon wheels for the buttons on his shirt. When Paul began to walk, he was so tall that he could cover a mile in a single step. Paul's father taught him how to swing an axe and cut down trees. They sold logs from the trees to lumber mills to make wood. When Paul grew older, he decided to head west, where there were plenty of forests. He arrived out west during the winter season that came to be known as the Blue Snow. Nobody could have imagined the winter would be so cold. That air was so frigid that people there shivered and turned blue just thinking about it. It was so cold that even the snow turned blue. One day Paul was walking over huge blue snowdrifts and brushing the snow off the treetops. He was listening to the wind howl when suddenly he heard another sound. It was the sound of a baby animal crying. Paul searched in a snowdrift that was as tall as a mountain. Then he pulled out the biggest, bluest baby ox he had ever seen. Paul named him Babe. From that moment on, Paul and Babe were best friends, and they were never apart. Paul and Babe had fun in the snow while they waited for winter to pass. As soon as the snow had left the ground, Paul got an axe and began to chop down trees. With one swing of his axe, 10 trees would fall. Paul hired a team of hundreds of lumberjacks to help him cut down trees and clear the land. That spring was warm and mild. Paul's team cleared so much land that farmers planted row after row of corn in the new fields. When summer came, the sun got hotter and hotter, and the corn stalks grew taller and taller. The time came in the growing cycle for the corn stalks to form ears of corn. The kernels of corn on each ear grew bigger and bigger. Paul's team went right on clearing more land for fields. One day when the sun came up, it was scorching. The lumberjacks couldn't work. As Paul walked by, the men rushed to him because his shadow was the only shade for miles. When they complained about the heat, nobody heard anyone else. Their words melted from the heat before they could reach anyone's ears. All of a sudden, the corn started popping. All across Iowa and half of Kansas, the big kernels burst right off the ears, as loud as fireworks. No one predicted the heat would cause the kernels to pop the way they did. Clouds of popped corn flew through the air and gently sank to earth like giant snowflakes. In fact, Paul's lumberjacks thought the popcorn kernels were snowflakes. "It's a snowstorm," they shouted. The lumberjacks ran inside to put on their jackets, boots, and gloves, and ran back out again. Then they began to make popcorn snowmen. They made popcorn balls and had popcorn snowball fights. As for Paul, he just stood and watched his lumberjacks and grinned. He saw that in all the excitement, everyone forgot to think about the heat. He knew his team would soon be back at work chopping trees, refreshed by the popcorn blizzard.